Hello everyone, I am Jianan. This is my presentation on creating learning environments this week. Creating a positive learning environment is one of the most important concerns of teachers. Teachers create social and physical environments for learning by examining classroom management that create more time for learning, involve more students, and help students become self-managing. A positive learning environment also must be established and maintained. It is important for teachers to respond appropriately and communicate effectively with their students when problems arise which were not prevented. The purpose of classroom management is to maintain a positive, productive learning environment by gaining and maintaining student cooperation in class activities. We can gain students' cooperation by planning activities, having materials ready, making appropriate behavioral and academic demands on students, giving clear signals. Gaining the cooperation of different age is not the same task. For example, direct teaching of classroom rules and procedures is important for kindergartners. Classroom routines have become relatively automatic for middle elementary children. Gaining the cooperation of high school students is to help them become more self-managing by fitting academic material to students' interests and abilities. The first goal of classroom management is to get all students involved in the learning process. So as teachers, we must make sure everyone knows how to participate in class activities. The key is awareness to participate in class activities. Students must understand the participation structure, that who can talk, what they can talk about, when and to whom they can talk, and how long they can talk to participate successfully on a given activity. A good classroom management also provides more time for learning. A typical high school class has 126 hours each school year, 96 to 119 instructional hours available due to interruptions, disruptions, late starts, and rough transitions. Moreover, engaged time, that time spent activity involved in specific learning tasks, is about 80% of the instructional time, which means the actual time devoted to effectively learning is typically decreased by about 20%. However, engaged time does not guarantee learning. Academic learning time is time when students really learning and understanding. Only 62 hours at 80% of the time they are engaged is academic learning time. There is debate between demanding obedience to teaching self-regulation and self-control and classroom management. Some argue that complex learning structures, such as cooperative or problem-based learning, require student self-management. Compliance with rules is not enough to make these learning structures work. So the last goal of class management is the development of self-control and responsibility. Self-control is about being able to regulate yourself and fulfill own needs without interfering with the rights and needs of others. Students learn self-control by making choices and dealing with the consequences, setting goals and priorities, managing time, collaborating to learn, and developing trusting relations with trustworthy teachers and classmates. The student teachers who develop the self-regulation knowledge and skills are more confident, less stressed, and more engaged during their student teaching than teachers who does not learn how to help their students to become self-regulated. Routines and rules are required to save time spent on dealing with the same questions and issues over and over again. Procedures and routines describe how activities are accomplished in classrooms and seldom written down. Teachers can use 6 areas as a framework for planning class routines that are administrative routines, such as taking attendance, student movement such as going to the bathroom, housekeeping such as storing personal items, lesson running routines such as how to collect and return homework, interactions between teacher and student such as how to get the teacher's attention and talk among students, such as giving help or socializing. Rules are written down and posted since the rules specify expected and forbidden actions in the class. Some examples of rules for elementary school class are respect to all people, be prepared of the academic work in class, listen quietly while others are speaking, and obey all school rules. Examples of rules for secondary students are bring all needed materials to class, be in your seat and ready to work when the bell rings, respect to all people, listen and stay seated while someone is speaking, and obey all school rules. Planning spaces for learning is another way to create a positive learning environment to make students read quietly and discuss with others. There are two basic ways of organizing space are personal territories and interest areas. The physical setting can influence teaching and learning in classrooms, so that teachers should move around the room, establish eye contact with and direct questions to students seated far away. Horizontal roles are useful for independent seat work and teacher, student or media presentations. It is also easy for students to work in pairs, but it is poor for large group discussion. Clusters of four circle arrangements are best for student interaction, but poor for whole group presentations. The fishbowl stack is helpful to watch a demonstration, but should be used only for short periods of time because it is not comfortable and can lead to discipline problems. Effective teachers build on a good start and also maintain management system by preventing problems and keeping students engaged in productive learning activities. Teachers should stimulate students' curiosity, relate lessons to students' previous experience and interest to keep students engaged. Students should be more engaged if they are involved in acoustic tests that activities that have connections to real life. Prevent problems is the first place. Prevent problems in the first place is the ideal way to manage problems. Teachers should be skilled in 4 areas to maintain effective classroom that are visitedness, overlapping activities, group focusing, and moment management. Visitedness means communicating to students that you are aware of everything is happening in the classroom. Teachers should deal with problems appropriately and effectively. Timing errors such as waiting too long before intervening and target errors such as blaming the wrong student and letting the real one escape responsibility for their behavior. Overlapping means keeping track of and supervising several activities at the same time. Maintaining a group focus means keeping as many students as possible involved in the appropriate class activities and avoiding narrowing in on just one or two students. Movement management means keeping class and the group moving at an appropriate pace with smooth transitions and variety. Students who feel connected with school and has a good teacher-student relationship are happier and more engaged in schoolwork, more self-disciplined, and less likely to be involved in dangerous behaviors. An appropriate response is important when problems arise, and the focus on obedience and teacher-imposed consequences often results in resistance, cheating, and even defiance. Classroom management is the teacher's responsibility that involves procedures, routines, and structures. Discipline is the student's responsibility that to behave right and involves self-control and emotional self-regulation. Bullying and cyberbullying includes physical, verbal, social, relational, and cyberbullying. There are four main reasons why do students bully. Students feel justified and simply enjoy putting the victim under pressure for fun. Communication is more than the words exchanged between individuals. Our actions, movements, voice tone, facial expressions, and many other nonverbal behaviors send messages to our students. Communication between teachers and students is essential when problems arise, but many times the messages we intend to send are not the messages our students receive. Students should learn to use the paraphrase rule that summarizes what the previous speaker said to avoid misunderstanding. Confrontation is required when a student is doing something that actively interferes with teaching. Teachers should tell a student in a straightforward, assertive, and non-judgmental way what she or he is doing, how it affects you as a teacher, and how you feel about it by sending an I message to intervene and change the behaviors. Students and the teacher are in a conflict if I messages fail and a student persists in misbehaving. No-lose method is a six-step problem-solving strategy, which means both the teacher and the students are taken into account in the solution. The first step is to define the problem, then to generate many possible solutions and evaluate each solution. Next, to make a decision that choose one solution through consensus and determine how to implement the solution. The last step is to evaluate the success of the solution. Students should learn a five-step negotiating strategy to solve conflict. The first step is to define the conflict, then to exchange positions and reverse perspectives. The fourth step is to invent at least three agreements that allow natural gain and loss is to each an integrative agreement. The four R's are reading, writing, respect, and resolution. Focus on righting the wrongs suffered when conflicts go badly. A lack of cultural synchronization causes misunderstanding between teachers and students. Teachers should help students learn how to function in both mainstream and home cultures, but also learn the meaning of their students' words and actions to avoid misinterpret.